Mona Lisa Foster asks, if Tea Party conservatives would start acting like Muslims and shoot anyone that insults us, do you think we'd get the same level of capitulation? Why are we not? Well, of course we would. If we started shooting people that were insulting to Tea Party values, and if we started blowing up buildings of the people that opposed conservatism and Tea Party type values, we would in fact intimidate people into silence, and we wouldn't be attacked the way we are, and we wouldn't be slandered the way we are, and we wouldn't be pushed around in the media the way we are, and we wouldn't be lied about the way we are. And the only price that we'd have to pay for that would be our souls, our dignity, and our reason for living. There is an incredible benefit to savage behavior in the short term. Savagery, as we saw with the Nazis, and as I say again and again and again, the second half of 2014 was my non-stop immersion in Bolshevism. My God. But if you have the power of the secret police and the death camp, you can in fact enforce tremendous leverage on people, incredible leverage, when a world that you create is ruled by fear. And ruling by fear is a very powerful way to get what you want. And it's second only, I would say, to the antithesis of ruling by fear. You can't rule by freedom, and you can't rule by security. You can rule by fear. You can create a society where people who disagree with you disappear and are killed. You can create a society where if somebody draws something you don't like, those people are gunned down. And you can make people conform to your will in such a way that fear is, in fact, an extremely, extremely powerful motivator. And if you don't believe me, you just look at what people agreed to in the 30s and 40s under Hitler and Stalin, what they agreed to. They would watch their neighbors and their family members and their loved one march off, never to return again, and say they deserved it. They deserved it. That's what fear does. So you can get someplace with fear if you want to tell other people what to do. You can go a long way with fear. But it is in fact utterly incapable of standing up to the alternative, which is the alternative of freedom. And you cannot command people through freedom. You can't command people through security, and you can't command people through choice. You have to convince them, and you have to lead them, and you have to make them voluntarily lay down their lives to fight the people who are being commanded to lay down their lives. And when you get right down to it, to be perfectly honest with you, Susan, I'm sorry, Cheryl, where I missed a question. I'm sorry, I missed a question. Mona Lisa, I beg your pardon. When you get right down to it, think about this. You take Hitler or Stalin, they're virtually the same guy in many ways. They were both third child. First two children died. They were both products of alcoholic fathers who beat them mercilessly. Very overprotected mothers. They were both bullies as kids. They were both small, physically small. They were both making up for physical inadequacies through force of personality. They were, in very many ways, they were very, very similar. And so when you are that kind of person filled with bitterness and rage and resentment and revenge, and just so we're crystal clear about this, right, I'm not comparing Barack Obama to either Adolf Hitler or Joseph Stalin, and it's an insult to the people who died under those two men to compare him in that way. However, there are many things in Barack Obama's life that are analogous to them in a much, much watered down way, the kind of difference between cowpox and smallpox, and he also was an abandoned child, who had an alcoholic father, although I don't think the father had much influence on the child. I don't think he beat him or anything. But Barack Obama, let me just cut to the chase here. Barack Obama, like these other two guys, had something to prove and had a burning narcissistic desire to enforce his presence on people because he doesn't think he's really there. I say that with a great deal of confidence. But to get to the point here, if you're gonna fight tyranny and you're gonna fight that kind of coercion and that kind of intimidation that this question about the Muslims exists with, you have to ask yourself, how much harder is it? I mean, think about it. Adolf Hitler or Stalin could in fact have the skill set to murder people and to persuade armies of people to execute people and to execute his murderous regime because other people want power too. Heinrich Himmler is a perfect example. He was a good father, according to many people, and just a nondescript former chicken farmer who became one of the most evil people in history, was responsible, the architect who daily got up to murder millions of people. And he was so banal. He was so just so ordinary. He's just a chicken farmer with a sense of failure and a mean streak in him. So if you're Hitler or Stalin, you can activate those people and create an army of murderers. You can do that. That's much harder than convincing people to lay down their free lives for other free people. But as we've seen again and 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 again, you cannot stop the power of free people who are ready to give their lives. Peaceful people who are ready to die for a cause. Good people who are ready to do awful things is the greatest force in the world. And that force has to be persuaded. Certainly, these Muslim murderers, and certainly these communists and these Nazis, do not have the force of character to motivate people to follow them without fear. And that's all I personally need to know about this Islamic religion, or at least this version of it, this jihadism. Do what we say. Join our religion or die. Leave our religion and you die. Make fun of our religion and you die. What does that say about them? What does it say about their belief in their religion? Is their belief in their religion so weak, really, that to mock it is to die, to leave it is to die, to hear another point of view is to die? My belief systems are so robust and refined and tested. I hear other people's opinions every single day, and I still come back to where I am. I come back to where I am through free will and choice. And you can obviously take this to relationships too, right? I mean, there are marriages where husbands will keep their wives in a glass case, and or wives that don't want their husbands to go out with their friends, and the idea that if I just keep it locked up under lock and key so they don't ever meet anybody else, then they'll stay with me. What does that say about that person? It's obvious what it says about them. It says they're walking hives of insecurity, right? I don't want you looking at my wife. I don't want my wife going out with her friends. I don't want my wife doing this. I don't want my wife. Why? Because she'll meet somebody. Well, why would that bother you? Because if she'll meet somebody, she'll leave me. Now we're down to brass tacks, right? Same kind of thing really for these Muslims. Same kind of thing. Really, when they start shooting up places that are making fun of them, what they're saying is our religion can't bear being made fun of. Our religion cannot survive being mocked. Our religion cannot survive the presence of other religions. Our religion is too weak to have people leave it and expect them to come back, because we know they won't come back. It's just an admission of weakness. That's all these things are. They're admissions of weakness. And it's the same thing for the progressives. That's why they want to shut us up. We don't want to shut up the progressives. I don't want to shut them up because I can beat them in an argument. And furthermore, if I do shut them up, then how do I know I'm not going to go off the rails and be the kind of idiot that they are? The only reason I have confidence in what I say is because I have confidence in what I say. I have confidence in what I say because it's tested. And if I don't have somebody challenging me, then I make errors and mistakes. So, no, obviously, needless to say, I know the question's facetious, but if we start acting like them, then what's the point? As I was saying earlier, what's the point of being on the team that's got to roll the rock up the hill? The point is you get to face yourself, and you get to be proud of yourself, and you get to understand that the work you do is good for people, and that people prosper, and they're happy, and they're safe, and they're not afraid. And if these things matter to you, then this is the team to be on. And if they don't, then go to the side that's easy to play for. Go for the side on, let the smart people run it, and go to the side that says, well, you know what, we don't really want the freedom because of the responsibility that comes with it. But when you get down to these Muslims and this kind of intimidation, you really are dealing with fear on their part. They're inspiring fear because they know their religion cannot survive on its own. It's pretty simple, really.